Hi church, Pastor Renier here. We live in an extraordinary time with an extraordinary opportunity to share the gospel. And therefore, join me for my mini midweek message. It is time to shine. Today, as we stand, we're about to make change again. We are in a pre-post-COVID time. And in this time, the question is often raised as how do we move forward in a time such as this? How do we deal with all the uncertainty that is surrounding us? Well, I want to share a very specific verse from John 14 and how we go about in achieving that. Jesus told his disciples, he said there in verse 27 of chapter 14, he said, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you." How do we achieve that peace that Jesus is offering to his disciples when the whole world around us seems to fall apart? And so my question tonight is very simply this: why does the Holy Spirit matter? Or let me rephrase, does the Holy Spirit as much today as it did then? And so the question we have facing is the same one that Jesus' disciples faced when he upset them with this news. He was telling them, guys, I'm going to go away. And they were kind of asking him, so where are you going? And he said, where I'm going, you can't come right now. And obviously they were upset about this news, and their anxiety and their stress levels were pretty high back then. They knew something was up. And then when Jesus explained to them that he was going to die and he's going to go away to the Father, they had this incredible question about, what about us? And so in this time that we are today, we are facing a very similar challenge. We are in that space between the yet and the not yet, between the promise and where we are, between the hope and reality. And we live in that very space, that the tension between the two, between yet and not yet. And so in that very same moment, Jesus was comforting his disciples, and he's telling them, look, we're in this space, but I'm going to send someone great that will bring about this very same thing. And he's talking about the Holy Spirit. And so my question is, why does the Holy Spirit matter? Well, the wonderful thing when in this whole passage, if you read chapter John 14 and you read this whole chapter and you see how the relationship between Jesus and his Father, Jesus and the Holy Spirit and Jesus works about. And we see this amazing promise that Jesus is making them, this promise of saying that even though you are in this space between what you can see and what you can't see yet, I will send you a helper. And the word that is used for the Holy Spirit, parakletos, is such an amazing chosen word by the writers. It is a very intimate relational word. It is a word that we translate in many ways, but some of the great words is counselor. Some words are advocate. But the word I like most is where Paul writes and he describes a part of the Holy Spirit. He says, but we have him as a deposit, a guarantee of what is yet to come. So the point of all this in this whole passage, what makes this incredibly powerful and will bring us that same peace that Jesus has promised his disciples, is for us to lean into the promise of the Holy Spirit. Is to know that even though we are living between the yet and the not yet, the Holy Spirit is the link, the promise, the deposit, the guarantee of what is yet to come. And so we live in this world, and even though we look around us and we may feel as if everything seems to be falling apart, the essence of today's message, my hope, my desire for each of us who hears it, is to take this moment and to lean into this very promise, to know that the Father and the Son have promised a counselor, an advocate, a deposit. And after Jesus died and after he rose again, the writer John remembered these words that were spoken to them even before Jesus left. And then on the day of Pentecost, we saw this incredible moment when when our Father and Jesus poured out the Holy Spirit over each of us as believers. And so, here we are, facing what may seem to many an uncertain reality. And I want to invite you today that as you engage into this very question, to lean in, to know that the Holy Spirit is the one that encourages us. He is the one that holds us. He is the one that helps us to be able to trust the word that is given to us. The Parakletos that Jesus promised his disciples is the same it was then as it is today, because the Holy Spirit, as is the Father, as is the Son, are equally God. And in that way, we are encouraged right now in this very moment is to know that the Holy Spirit is the one that takes the cry of your heart. He takes your prayers and he presents that in an appropriate way to the Father. And so, as a close, may I encourage you not to stop praying. Do not stop speaking to God. Take whatever is on your heart and bring it to your Father, our Father. And you know why that is worth it? Because the Holy Spirit takes that and He brings that, and in Him and through Him we cry, Abba, Father. And because of the Holy Spirit, because of Him being a deposit, a guarantee of what is to come, you and I may have the comfort and the peace that Jesus has promised His disciples, and He has promised us. And in that moment, we know that the Holy Spirit matters, because Father, Son, and Holy Spirit cares deeply for each of us. Have a great week.